that shit.
Damn.
All over the goddamn mic. Spilled that shit. He spilled that shit. Oh my gosh.
Ah, shit, it's falling on the table.
All over. It was in the cup. It was in the cup and he spilled it. Man, he spilled that shit. Fuck, I gotta clean this shit up.
Maybe you should put, please don't wear headphones while listening to this.
Fuck that.
Yo, today we got the Mr. Incredible. I mean, Bruce Wayne. I mean, Devin Burnison. What's up, man? How you feeling today, bro?
Good, man. The weather isn't great, but you know,
It's sunny somewhere, right?
it's sunny somewhere, so you gotta smile, right?
Yeah, right. So what do you have a lot going on?
I do.
A shit ton, actually. So talk about the business part first. Let's start there.
Let's see. I started a business little over a year ago, and I've decided to invest my time and try to double down in my strengths to see through making my message known throughout that we've got to promote more balance in terms of holistic wellness. And I double down in my strengths through fitness to spread that message. So.
And you've done like a lot of change in yourself to do that, right? So you came. I mean, you was a little jiggly guy when I knew you,
man.
bro.
Yeah, well, and that's what I think is important for everyone to be able to recognize too. We've known each other a long time.
Yeah, I've known
so
about 8 years.
Yeah, like I mean, close to. I mean, it's been a while. We've known each other at different stages of our life.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you now as a grown man, you know,
Yeah, that's crazy.
and like knowing each other as teenagers. Just it's a different kind of bond that we have,
right,
versus me visiting or talking with someone that doesn't, you know, really know me.
Right.
So to that point, I mean, yeah, I've been all across the board. You know, being overweight at certain points in my life and not being the best beacon of health and having low self-confidence and self-efficacy.
I felt it too, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it weighs down on you.
Yeah, but like once you get out of your shell and kind of like understand who you are and what your purpose is, you start like changing like the way you move and how you get things done.
You do, and it's the energy, man. It really is the energy, and I think, you know, and I've started to cultivate a belief within my perspective of things like you are the company you keep, you know, so the environment's imperative. After getting out of high school, a point where things were structured and that was all facilitated for me, right? Now it was left up to me to have accountability to my best interest.
Good old high school, man.
Yeah, good old high school. And then you get into college, and like my point being is,
I don't know where I'm
throughout
going.
each of these progressions in my life, you know, I've seen different modes of strength when it comes to physical, you know, preparedness and athleticism, and I've done different modes of aesthetics and been on that mode of the spectrum when it comes to bodybuilding and sport, and then now Olympic weightlifting and competing nationally as a wrestler. Like I've had a lot of experience when it comes to athletics and sport performance. So when I'm thinking about how I want to make an impact, whether it be at right now a micro scale, when I'm thinking macro in the long term, I have to realize, like, you know, the message is important to me.
Right.
So that being making sure we can find a balance throughout our life, like that's why I've done a little bit of everything, is I want to be well-rounded. I want to be able to shed insight on different experiences.
And
man.
I used to look up to you when I was like freshman year. I think you were a senior at the time. No, you were a junior.
Junior.
But you were the team captain. And I was like, no, team captain Dev, a freshman. I was like, yeah, that was like big for me. So to see people work harder kind of got my mindset like right into the right lane.
Absolutely.
Where I started working at a like really high pace. Like I work completely different than I used to, just by seeing people ahead of me.
It's an influence.
It's an influence.
And the energy is contagious. And, you know, I reflect oftentimes throughout that time in high school and what kind of role I was playing and what kind of energy I was you know, radiating and the influence I was providing, was it good enough? Was it, that's what I ultimately question myself on. It's never, I wish I could go and do this again in the sport. Like, it's always like, how did I impact the people around me?
Right.
And I think that I always was at least somewhat aware of that throughout that process of being the team leader and having you guys as a great support system, because you held me accountable just as much, right?
That's
like,
the good thing about it,
dude. And it's a partnership. Like, that's what it's all about. It's
we
give and
feed
take.
off each other.
Absolutely. Like, there cannot be a leader without people that are supporting that cause of being a good team.
Right.
And we were good towards the end.
Yeah, we were good. That was
good
like one
towards
of our
the end.
best years
Yep.
I could ever think of. That we were just crushing it like every match, man.
Yeah,
If
it
you
was
could-
fun.
If you
It
could
was a
go
lot of
back,
fun.
what would you like? Would you do anything differently?
I think for me, what I truly regret is not committing sooner to the thought of greatness and trying to reach for more.
And having fun with it and being more creative with
Yeah,
wrestling.
and as much as I believe in balance, I believe that in certain points of our life there needs to be disproportionate amount of prioritization when it comes to things that are important to us.
Right.
Otherwise, you will find yourself at a point where you're kind of spread thin, right? And this is a learning process in my own life, the more that I take on, but again, prioritization. There's no reason at 14, 15 I shouldn't have been more committed to the process. But I am just thankful that towards the end, I was able to really see what I could do and really work harder. Because had I not, I don't think I would have done half the things I did throughout that time.
Agreed, man.
And I just think that that's important. We can look at how we fell short. I didn't win a state title. I didn't even make it to state.
But you could have if you just realized sooner.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I don't look back at that as like, man, I wish I would have done this, that, or the other. I think that these experiences happen for a reason, and if anything, it has cultivated an attitude that will forever be a part of my life to remind me to be more aware.
Oh, man. You spilled that shit, bro. God damn.
The cup's knocked over, you guys.
It's
Mic
all over,
dropped.
bro.
Yep.
No, but so you kind of incorporated your past experiences into now, right?
Oh, absolutely,
So,
dude.
What are you doing now? Everything. What's you got a podcast, right?
I've got a lot going on. So, we were just talking about this before the show began. I've got a podcast going on Anchor as well. That's Aspiration Athletics, so the same as my company name. I try to keep everything, at least remotely
linked.
similar, and linked together so that it flows and can be easily found. But I'm on Anchor. I'm on all of the other podcast providers. I'm also doing YouTube videos. So I have a YouTube channel which is tailored towards the same thing, kind of fitness education, fitness-related topics, and kind of tying it into balance and wellness in life, and just how to take life by the balls, and
by the balls.
Right.
Get it, man.
Yeah. So doing all of that and operating as an online trainer and coach, and also working at my job as a trainer and coach. So,
you coach online too?
Yes. So I do that.
That's interesting. How does that work?
I have multiple
FaceTime calls. It's like
dude. It's been a really unique experience. I will say to the effect of, and I'll leave it at this. When it comes to personal training and when it comes to the fitness industry, it's a lot different. It's fun, but it's very scary. Okay, it's up and down. It's like 1 minute you're like
on top of the world.
Oh yeah, and the next minute you're like, man, I hope that direct deposit hits today, like yesterday. So these and anyone who's in this industry knows what I'm talking about. You're taking a leap of faith when you do the online gig, and it really is becoming a wider market base, and I think that I started to recognize that early on. But Just how it is as an online trainer, it's really fun. I like it. I get a chance to talk with people and get
Motivate.
a chance. Yeah, and I really do my best, and this is where I really try to differ myself from the rest of the herd of online trainers. Is
there's a lot.
I am so passionate about people because
That's
of my
what matters,
communicative
bro.
abilities, and I think that is what matters.
That's what matters.
Because when I'm looking at facilitating change in such an interpersonal setting like training and manipulating your body and the outcome, it's a very delicate situation.
Yeah.
You know, people are very, very vulnerable in that state.
I mean, if you look like a bag of potato chips, yo, hit my man's Devin up, man. He gets you right.
That's right. And I won't do it in a way that's going to degrade you or demean you, because I think there's a lot of coaches and trainers that just don't know how to empathize.
Yeah, he's trying to push you to want to be better.
Absolutely. And I will always hold you accountable and make you strive for greatness, but not at the expense of your own outlook, self-outlook.
Right.
You know, I believe that we've all got ups and downs in our life. You know, there's certain things that we can't control, but there is a way that you can react to it, you know, and I think that we try to focus on that the most, is how do we react to some of these stressors in life so that we can control maybe some of our not so good eating patterns and stuff.
Right.
So it becomes a behavior kind of therapy.
How I was thinking about it, I kind of changed my outlook on how I treat my body, because the body is truly like a temple, right?
Absolutely.
So if you if you really care about yourself, then you should be like at least trying to like get in the right, like taking care of your body, taking care of yourself. Because I love myself, so I'm gonna take care of myself. Like I'm not just gonna lay down all day and do this, because like you can see it. You can literally see the physical tear it does to your body when you don't take care of yourself.
Sadak, this is also something I think this is important to mention. You know, what's beautiful about my time and short time in this industry and being able to be in front of people enough is to understand their weaknesses and their vulnerability. And I think that your mindset is what I came in early on, doing this online training gig with people. And it's like, why don't you just get it in your head? You know, this is going to make you feel better. Yeah,
and it feels great. I wake up every day, man.
People in real life, and this is real, people in real life are struggling. And this is not just at a financial, like people aren't making enough. People are struggling to hold on to what little they have left. And that is their sorrow, you know? And it's really... It really becomes a situation of like, how can we get you to see that on the other side is the life that you want, right? But connecting that bridge to be able to take those thoughts into action.
And they're hard steps.
It's very
hard.
And this is why it becomes a behavioral model theory of addressing each stage of that behavioral progression, because these people aren't even contemplating the thought.
Right, they're not.
Sometimes.
Exactly.
But it's because there are some deeper seated issues, and I'm no therapist. This is where we become outsourcing. But I am passionate enough to dig deeper than what's on the surface with people to find out what is got you hurting to the point that it's creating a barrier towards your health goals and fitness goals.
So what would you say to somebody like at least trying to make that first step? Like what would the first step be?
I think the first step is becoming more aware of what you want, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like
man.
To me, I think you can't navigate without having an idea of where you want to be.
Look inwards instead of outwards.
Inwards instead of outwards. So self-reflection, self-analysis.
Ask yourself, like, what do you want? Like,
and people don't even do this enough to know what they're going in. And this is why you see me so passionate about the topic of education in university in today's world. But the same thing can be said for these kids going into degree commitments that they don't even know or aren't even sure that they want to do. It's just a societal pressure that's put on them.
You got to be a doctor. You got to be a lawyer.
You've got to be something.
Yeah.
But no one pushes the notion you've got to be happy.
Ooh.
Why are we not
Oh,
doing
he
that?
spilled that shit! Oh my
I mean, if
god!
we had a second cup, we'd knock it over. But my point is, why are we not orienting the message and the importance on happiness as opposed to fulfilling a role or an expectation?
Right.
You owe nothing to nobody. And we'll get into more of why I was able to facilitate that mindset because I had to drop out of school.
Really?
I don't go to school anymore.
You don't?
No.
I did not know
that was my way of saying, like, this is my commitment towards myself.
And you're putting all your time into this, and it's showing results, right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I see
it is. You know, and I think that, again, much like you can look back and say I didn't do enough. I believe in balance, and I believe that at certain points too, you can't I can't be obsessed by trying to grow and expand this thing. I have to let it do its thing.
Yeah,
I have
one thing at a time. Just keep
because I have to believe that I'm doing enough justice in what I speak and what I believe in that is me and my brand and my message because I stand behind everything that I say and promote. That when I say those things, you know, I'm able to be able to back it up with my beliefs too. Yeah. And I didn't feel that I was able to do that until I made the commitment to take a step back from school and trust in my own judgment, but also to find balance in life too, Sadek.
Was it scary, like, dropping out, bro?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. This was something that
I've been thinking about
for months, I struggled with. And I know there are so many of you doing the exact same thing, struggling with that.
Should I drop out? Should I keep going? My mama's not gonna love me.
Is it serving me? But this is what I want people to understand. Is if the first thing you think about is, should I drop out? If the first thing you think about is, what will my parents think? You've already committed for the wrong reasons. Right?
Because you're supposed to do everything for yourself.
Right.
That's the number one thing.
And here's the thing. Your parents are going to create a situation where they leverage their financial support over you. Right. That's their job as parents. Exactly. That's their way of guiding you to what they think is the right path. Exactly. And all that I'm saying is they have no greater idea of what they think is best for you than you do.
Right. You're the only one in here. That's what I think about it.
For me, I had to realize and do a lot of self-analysis, right? And really question, what am I good at, for one? Yeah. What do I like to do, and how can I align what I'm good at with what I like to do?
Right.
That's it.
And literally, it's a simple equation.
So, and how can I find a way to make that lucrative?
1 plus 1 equals 2.
Right. But also, and it can't just be it can't be head in the clouds though, Sadek. It's gotta be worked at. It can't be a thought without action.
It's gotta be brick by brick. Build a foundation first. And then you can build whatever you want, skyscrapers.
Absolutely.
It's just like you got to put the work in. People don't understand that you can love doing it, but you got to love and work hard at it to manifest something.
What people are fearful of is judgment.
Yeah.
And people don't. This is what you're doing your 4-year degree for. Because at the dinner table, when someone asks you how school is going or what school you're at, you don't want to tell them that you're not. Right. You're afraid to tell them that you're not going.
That's so true.
Because here's the thing, we look down on all of those in society. We look down on that. Right. And it's up to you to believe in yourself enough to say, I'm confident in what I do. Right. Whether or not, because there's people that got a master's degree making the same amount as someone without a degree. Right. So you're going to sit here and tell me that not investing in your passion isn't worth it?
There's people that don't even finish high school and invest in their passion.
But that's my thing. It's like, it is about the passion.
Literally, because then that's what drives you. That's what keeps you waking up every day to do it.
I had to go through the heartbreak of telling my parents, you know, and it was something where, you know, they put out, I think, cumulatively enough to cover my first semester of my first year.
Really?
or it may have been a little more than that because I was on a decent scholarship at the time. I had a lot of financial aid being from.
Did you get your associates?
No, I have nothing. I have nothing.
I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was like, "At least get your associates," and I'm like, I mean, I just recently found a reason to go.
I think that you need to, and this is not the same for everyone, right? And I think that there's a lot of content, because it's not black and white. I don't want to make it that. There's a lot of gray here. Yeah. This is my point, is know the market. I've done a lot of research. Right. I had to do a lot of, again, not just self-analysis, can I do this, but also competitive analysis. Right. What are people doing? What are people offering? How good are these trainers? How good are these coaches? What kind of knowledge base do they have? Bottom line was, I knew that I stood above them. Now it's just a matter of getting my message out there and creating a following around what I'm trying to promote.
One person at a time, man.
Absolutely. I count those one people, my teammates, not my clients, my teammates, as our wins. You know, this is a building of a community that's going to cultivate success and personal growth.
How long have you been doing this?
A little over a year.
A little over a year. You got it far, man.
Thank you. I remember the day. It was like sudden action.
That's how I be feeling. Man.
It was the day that changed my life. There were two occasions. One being when I first started Aspiration Athletics. Right. The idea of online personal training is what it began.
You just started doing it out of nowhere.
I doubled right in and doubled down on it, and I started creating the training platform where I could create workouts. I started meeting with people. My first meeting was at Planet Fitness with this woman that I was going to train online. And I actually got kicked out of that session.
How'd you get kicked out?
They don't like trainers there that aren't there.
They don't like judgment.
They don't like anyone there that isn't affiliated with the gym. And, you know, I was young into this at the time, so I didn't quite understand, you know, all of that.
You gotta fail to succeed, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And if I had not taken those chances and, like, gone out and just bit the dust and sucked, and just failed. Man. Had I not done that, I would have never been able to find out, like, this is gonna work now. Yeah. So, and I think that I'm not at a point now, even this is part of being aware to everything, is I'm not even at a point now where I think things are great, but they're better than what they were.
It's building, man.
Absolutely, and I've got a documented journey of the process that was involved.
Really?
I have, too, man. Dude, and that's why I think it's so important, because you and I are extremely young, and this is it. Bottom line, I'm going to tell you some real shit right now for your show.
Real fucking shit right here.
Real shit.
Real shit.
Real shit right now. No one cares what we think at the moment.
Nobody.
Because of our age.
Right.
So as soon as you internalize that and just speak your truth, the more you're going to accept, like, long term, you're going to be successful, because it's all about who can be in this game the longest. There's so many of us doing podcasts and doing all these crazy online things that they may even be halfway successful at, or what they deem as successful, and
they fail, and
or they get a job that they've got to commit to 9 to 5 or whatever the case is. People fall off, and if you aren't committed to this for the right reasons and being in it in the long game, doesn't matter, because bottom line is, none of this will mean anything until people put a value on it. Right. Until people in the market put a value on what our opinions are. Right. But bottom line, like, we can still shed our message to our peers that are our age.
And the reason I do it is because I fell in love with this thing right here, man. This is my fucking baby right here. But the microphone, bro. Oh my God, I love bringing people over and just hearing how, like, they operate. Yeah. And just hearing, like, what they gotta say to people and inspire. Like, I have a lot of people that I inspired already that just hear this and they think, like, wow, I should probably start doing this, this, and this for myself. And that's what it's about. It's about helping yourself.
The energy is contagious. And I will continue to say that through and through, because
I like that.
At any point, dude, it's so easy to just say forget it and just go, you know, and just coast through life. Right. You don't have to do any of this. You don't.
It's so fun.
You could get a job and just make that money, right? And then what? What kind of substance do you have as a person?
Right. And speaking of that, I'm working at Home Depot right now, and nothing wrong with Home Depot, but the reason I was working was because of money and to learn a couple of things. But eventually I stopped learning. Like I just like got into the groove where they tell me, "Yep, it's time to move on. I'm about to quit. I'm about to quit that job and I'm about to go to like a radio station where I can start networking and get my own
Let me tell you though, that's not going to be as easy as you think. One,
not at all.
And two,
I know
you've really got. If that's something like you can do that.
Yeah.
You can 100%.
I've already been researching it, how to get it.
You know what it comes down to? Show up and be consistent.
I'm due pressure.
Bro, pressure is real because if you can show them like no matter what they say about an application, you're gonna show up on the spot.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, even if they don't even let you in through the doors, if you just show up at the door every single day and you see someone there every single day,
I'm gonna bother the fuck out them till they let me in, man.
Exactly, and until then, work at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah, Home Depot. Home Depot.
Because I don't think you. And I've made this mistake early on, and I think historically, other people's experiences, it's not smart to just quit and have no backup.
Well, I'm gonna land the job before I quit.
Right? Yeah. No, and that's all that I'm saying is like be prepared.
Yeah.
But also know if you're being mistreated, you don't need to feel like they're leveraging that situation either.
Exactly, because I'm being more treated like just a worker. Like
dude, that's everyone.
Yeah, like just like.
And this is what I want people to realize: if you don't start your own thing or get passionate about yourself and what you think, you will fall into believing what everyone else wants you to think. And that's the thing. Like people are operating at such a mass like mindset capacity where like you're either choosing a side or not. It's like and if you're not, you're an outcast. So I just look at it as like be your own person, dude.
Be a boss.
I will say it is more this is the hard part about going your own path in life, and I'm still trying to figure out how to connect myself with people who have bigger aspirations. It's a lonely road. I gotta tell you, my girlfriend's downstate. She lives there now. She moved. So we're doing a long distance gig. We lived together for a year. So
that's really hard.
I mean, we shared a life together.
Yeah.
So we're sharing a business now between us, but we've got 500 miles in between each of us physically.
Shit, man.
So we're talking about having to be happy for one with ourselves, but also share the not the community, but the companionship of one another. And that to me that's a tough world to balance.
That's hard, man.
But my point being is, if you've got these kind of mindsets and aspirations, you're gonna be separated from the crowd, and you've got to be okay with being alone.
I remember, I forget what podcast it was. I think it was episode 1, man. Somebody said, isolation brings elevation. Mm-hmm. And it's very true.
I can agree with that.
Because when you're by yourself, you get to know yourself more.
You do.
Yeah, because there's no other judgment coming
Well, who else are you going to talk to about yourself? Here's the thing. Here's what people avoid. That conversation with themselves. That point where you have to look in your eyes and admit that you failed yourself.
Mm-hmm. I look in the mirror all the time. I talk to myself, bro.
And that's it, man. Because if you aren't having that conversation with yourself of like, look at you. You got to do better. This is where you're at. This is where you want to be. Yeah. What's the effort necessary to get there?
Yeah. People don't calculate the effort. I read a book about that.
They don't.
Yeah,
Dude, they just dream. Exactly. And that's all that it is. Without action, it's a dream.
Exactly.
It's
and
not
you're judged by your actions. You're not judged by your thoughts. So when you have all these negative thoughts, like I can't do this, but it doesn't really matter if you have those thoughts. Because you just got to do it.
The thoughts do matter, though. And this is why I think it becomes an environmental thing, too. Because just as much as it is hanging out with people that, maybe, I don't want to, for lack of a better term, bums, right? They're just not providing any value to their life.
You're not around the people that you should be around.
Right. And those things can foster different thoughts that aren't conducive towards growth.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So all that I mean is like, okay, even if, let's say, much like myself, I'm not, as much as I meet people, like in settings like this, outside of that, I'm around no one, other than my family. So like I try so hard to, in that time that I'm not around anyone, to not only face myself, but to gain outside perspective. I listen to a lot of Oprah.
Oh, really?
Super Soul Sunday.
Oprah.
My girl Oprah, bro, she kills it.
Sade!
She kills it. Oprah. I listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk. I think that's where a lot of the deep passion goes from. What's that?
Crush It?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that book.
So that's where a lot of the deep passion comes from, I think, and he speaks in a way that I can understand, right?
Yeah, he's intellectual.
Oh yeah, and I think I can relate in a lot of ways with his his views and just personal experience about what he talks about. But finding people that challenge your perspective is necessary for growth.
Right.
And it's so important to be able to listen. I mean, there's many platforms available now where you can listen in on people that are doing the things or living the life you want to live.
Right.
Right. So find out what it is that you want to do, for one.
Right.
What kind of life you want to have. And I don't just mean Ferrari, Bentley, blah, blah, blah.
I don't even care about that stuff, to be honest.
Here's the thing. If you are about those things, materialism, you have to understand you're sacrificing relationships. So if you're just cool with being about the bread and the money, you better be cool with hurting people in the process.
Right.
Or just not.
Oh my God,
or just not forming a connection.
Oh my God,
right?
Spill it all.
For real. I mean, because bottom line is, like, if you're focused on creating relationships and maintaining them, your time is spent maintaining and showing those people that you care.
Right.
Because if you don't, like, people just don't exist in your life. You've got to make an effort. Like, how pissed do you get when your friends don't hit you up? They're not your friends then.
Exactly.
Like that's the thing. The person that reaches out to you is the one that really truly cares.
Wants you to be around. Like, they care. 100%. They care about you.
And I will go to my grave with this. Like, as much as I've missed out on so many milestones in my friends' lives the last couple of years, because a lot of them are getting married, a lot of them are having children, a lot of them are just doing fantastic
how
things.
Old are you?
22.
Oh, fuck
but
that.
I have friends that are older.
Right.
But just in general, that you get to this age and the course of life changes for a lot of people, and they expect you to be in that role of support for them.
Right.
I was unable to physically be in that role for someone that I really truly cared about, and it hurt him and it hurt me.
Yeah.
But to that effect, like, I know that I'm not just gonna be there. Like, to me, it wasn't about the wedding. Like, I'll always be there.
Right.
To connect with, to be a support for.
Right.
But, like, physically, I can't, And I think that a lot of people take that different approach. They feel that, like, okay, I'll be physically there, but I'm not going to emotionally be there.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense,
that
right?
makes
So, like,
perfect
how
sense.
many people do you hang out with, or that you may
guys
spend
aren't
time?
really connected.
No, you're not connecting.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no bond. There is no relate. To me, it's the feeling. It's the showing. Acting on, like,
expression.
the expression of emotion.
Yeah.
I may go a couple months without talking to someone that I really care about or had a really pivotal, importance in my life at some point, and I'll just send them, like, a 2-minute long message, just letting them know that I think about the times I share with them.
Yeah, like, really close, like, friends that you don't get to talk to.
Dude, people are afraid to show love, dude.
I don't get it, man.
I don't get it, bro.
I don't understand.
Like,
I love you, man.
Like, that's it. Like, why is that so hard?
I don't know.
People are just so against feeling. Right? Because it just sometimes it's gonna hurt sometimes.
Right.
Like, I think people are just so...
People separate, people go together.
Yeah, and they try to ease the pain by never allowing themselves to be vulnerable enough to have that connection.
That's a good way to put it.
Right?
Because, like, people don't... I don't understand how it's hard to open up to somebody that you actually care about. Because if you care about them, then you should want them to know how you feel.
Yeah, it comes down to, a lot of it's how you were raised. I think,
environment, how you're saying.
How were you treated? Like, to me, I had a pretty loving family growing up, and that was a moral part of our family dynamic, right? Is, like, contribute emotionally to some extent. You know, like my parents are very blue collar people. They're not super deep.
Yeah. That's like a blessing. Like
it is a blessing, but it's just being there. You know, like I differ in a lot of ways from my parents in how I think, how I act, what I do.
Right.
But to just be present with them and spend time with them and to check in on them. How is your soul feeling?
Right.
How are you doing emotionally? Hard to do with my dad, but my mom appreciates it.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
So I think that a lot of it is I know you hear this coined term, toxic masculinity. There's a certain amount of masculinity in the world right now, in our society, that's ingrained in us as males, that allows us to push away a lot of the emotion, you know, that would drive connection.
Right.
Because I think a lot of it is a dividing tactic too.
Right.
You know, if you can get people so pent up and
like when you're a boy, when you're a young kid and you cry, you get called like a pussy and shit.
Oh yeah.
And then like you grow up and then you can't show any emotions to any loved ones or anything.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
And it turns into hate though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and you see this at a mass scale with a lot of the perpetuated racism in the world and kind of the social climate today. It's deeper, you know. It's like there's got to be massive overhaul and reform of how people interact, it doesn't start here, dude. It doesn't start here. Like,
online.
Like it's a tool, you know. Like it's a tool. Like for me, I wouldn't be able to be on platforms like this with you if we didn't use these tools.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But while I'm here, I got love for you.
Yeah, I feel
this. We're present in the moment. There's an energy in the room.
Exactly.
And I think that is where we need to be, dude. And I think people need to be more comfortable with that.
That's I like that. You got to be able to feel
comfortable with that
in person, like how somebody. Yeah, I love it, man.
I don't know what's up with people, man.
Spill it.
I'm just, it's all over the place.
It's just all over. It's all over the floor. All right, we're running out of time though. If you want to drop anything, any knowledge, any to-go knowledge.
I think that overall, Sadek, I'm really happy with the direction that we took today. I think we very easily could have talked about business, BS, and all of that. I think there's just so much more to be gained from talking about what created the structure to allow me to, and you, to do these things that we're doing to create change and try to create an impact. It doesn't, people look at the action behind it, but they don't look at the emotion and the passion that's involved.
Exactly.
You know, and that's where this all comes from. It's not just...
It's how I feel.
Right. It's not just surface level, you know, went to college, now he's using that to go into fitness and blah. Like, no, it's so much more than that. Like, it's a relationship with people. It's talking. It's forming a connection. Man. That's all.
Mr. Credible and Mr. Incredible, everybody, man.
I heard Bruce Wayne at one point.
Bruce Wayne, Superman.
Okay, I don't get a Goku or nothing, like, bro.
Fucking Kakarot.
There we go.
Bro, all right. What's social media is for?
So personal is at barbell_Burnison. And then business is Aspiration_Athletics on Instagram, both you guys. And if you're looking on YouTube, Aspiration Athletics. In general, you can find me on just about any platform, whether it's from LinkedIn to Snapchat.
Damn, LinkedIn.
All of those things. So I am in front of someone somewhere always.
That's good. That's a good thing to have. All right, bro. You have a nice one.
You too, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Don't tell me what to do.
Oh, man.